Aloha and welcome to Where Do We Go, a podcast where we, as high schoolers, sit down with female professionals in different fields to simply talk story and share with us their experiences, advice, and overall helping us foster female leaders for the future. I'm your host, Iolani Tamamoto, and I'm so glad that you decided to join us today. To learn more about our podcast and previous episodes and speakers, visit our website at www.wegohawaii.org/listen. Our podcast is brought to you by WeGo, a nonprofit organization founded by Iolani Tamamoto with the mission to foster strong and independent female leaders. To learn more about WeGo and ways to support, visit www.wegohawaii.org for more details. Today's Where Do We Go episode is a special installment part of our Women Across Professions event. This week-long experience features leading women in fields that include business, medicine, engineering, and more to support girls in our community and giving them opportunities to gain valuable insight and mentorship. Following this interview, we hope you will join us in listening to other interviews we held and hear some of the words of other women at the forefront of their field. To learn more about Women Across Professions and to listen to other interviews, visit www.wegohawaii.org/womenacrossprofessions. In today's installment of Where Do We Go for the Women Across Professions Conference, we are joined by Punahou sophomore Kat Viola, who will be having a conversation with Dr. Alyson Tamamoto of Pediatric Physicians Group. Mahalo and enjoy today's episode.
Hi everyone, welcome to our second interview in the medical field of our Women's Across Professions Conference. I'm Kat Viola. So today we have Dr. Alyson Tamamoto, also from Pediatric Physicians Group, which is a private practice in IAEA. She works as a primary caregiver for pediatrics. So let's get into our meeting. The first question was, what were some of your favorite classes in high school? Or like subjects in general?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the sciences, no surprise.
Yeah.
I really liked biology, AP biology in senior year. Was probably the one that sticks out in my mind the most. A lot of it was we had a really good teacher who engaged the students wonderfully. I went to Iolani, and so we all the AP biology students got to do like a marine biology like weekend cruise.
Interesting. Oh wow.
Yeah, you actually like go and learn a lot about marine bio, and we stay out on a boat for I think if I remember it was like a weekend long. But it was just like things like that and different opportunities that he created that gave fun, interesting ways, I think, to learn about science that I gravitated to the most. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds super fun. So, and then what interests you most about medicine in college? Because that was something you had to think about pretty early on, I think.
Right. So in college, I think it was I started off as a biology major as kind of a starting point, and then I actually switched over to biochemistry because I just got interested in more of the molecular science, I think, for a little part. But at the end, throughout my summers home in Hawaii, I was going to Kaiser and volunteering over in the pediatric ward. So a lot of it was actually just playing with the kids in the playroom, but also too just like seeing the families. I think seeing some of the things they had to deal with, like whether it would be G tubes or breathing assistance. Really kind of made me gravitate towards medicine. I during college also, I think it was my junior and senior year, volunteered in the local emergency room. We had an Adventist Castle hospital near us, and so volunteered there and just got to see a lot. Also did a rotation my senior year over at USC in the emergency room there. So just got a lot of experience where I think I got exposure that was good for me to decide, okay, is this really something I want to commit to? And, it is a big commitment to going to medicine.
Yes.
Yes, as you know very well. So I think those were, the biggest things that helped me immerse myself. And then I think the biggest thing that drew me to it was the people. So seeing, of course, the patients and the experiences they have, but then also how much the doctors, nurses, the whole team plays such an important role in helping that either be a really, the bestest possible experience or the worst, experience it could possibly be.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
Were there any specific doctors that really inspired you or like made it very clear that you definitely wanted to pursue medicine?
Gosh, that's a good question. Probably my senior year, when I rotated through the ER at the USC, LA County Hospital. There were actually like a handful of doctors who, gosh, I feel so bad, I can't remember all their names, but like, who um, took time to explain things to me. They took time to take me with them on patient rooms and surgeries, even things like that that let me have some hands-on experience. Um, but I can't. Yeah, that was probably the most impact I had in college was at LA County. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then, I'm sorry, were these experiences set up through college or did you have to like be proactive and find them yourself?
Sure. So the Adventist Castle Hospital one, I had to set up myself,
Mhm.
and then the LA County was an actual program that was built into the pre-med program in Occidental College.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, is there anything that interests you most about medicine now or makes you feel like, wow, I really chose the right career?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's gonna be the families for me. So, I went into primary care, where we get to see the patients grow from ideally newborn through, college. You get to, grow with the families and help the families. And I think too, like the experience changed for me when I became a mother, I can have a different viewpoint of empathy, I think now that, um, um, really has connected me and brought me closer into the family network of my patients. And so um, that's going to be the most enjoyable part of what I get to do. Yeah.
So, can you tell me a little bit about the application process when you were applying to medical school?
Yeah, so we actually at Occidental College, the school I went to, had a wonderful pre-med program.
Mhm.
We had a counselor that I could meet with as often as I wanted, basically, to do mock interviews, to have her look over my applications as well as my essays. Um, and so that was, a wonderful resource for us to use. Um, I probably didn't apply to as many schools as some other people did because I kind of was very specific about where I wanted to go location wise. And so I knew there were a couple schools I was looking at in California, like USC. And then I interviewed to a couple in New York because I had a brother living up there. But for the most part, I think my plan was always to kind of come back home to Hawaii,
Yeah.
hopefully. And so that was kind of where I focused a lot of my effort on coming back.
And then could you explain some of like the main differences between applying to medical school then to applying to college? Because I'm sure they're very different.
Yeah, yeah. I think for applying to college, I was looking at like the differences between small schools and large schools.
Mhm.
And then I actually ended up gravitating towards smaller like liberal arts colleges.
Mhm.
So like Kona and Occidental, why am I blanking? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Lewis and Clark. So like a lot of the smaller schools, because I liked the smaller class sizes and the more one-on-one ratio, closer to one-on-one ratio, with the teachers, rather than a big university.
Mhm.
And so when it came to looking at colleges, I guess I was just looking for a more well-rounded experience, and then um, a smaller setting. And then I think too, I didn't want to go away to college and go to a big university and one, get kind of lost in the crowd, and then two, you know, tend to like, I felt like a lot of like other people we knew who were going to bigger schools from Hawaii were only staying then with Hawaii people, like in the Hawaii clubs and, kind of thing. And what I really enjoyed about the experience at a smaller liberal arts college was that I really got to, I feel like, come out of my shell and, meet other people, meet people from all over the country and different, backgrounds and ethnicities. And so that was, and they're some of the most lasting, I think, friendships I have, outside of my high school friends, but that they've really become this wonderful supportive women that I have. And I think medical school was a little different in applying because it was kind of when you want to just get in somewhere, so you're kind of looking at anywhere, and then it was just really focusing on coming back to Hawaii,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, and then why did you choose to work in peds? I know you touched on a little bit, you really liked working with families and working with kids, but were there any
Yeah.
specific experiences throughout medical school that
Yeah.
really pushed you towards peds?
Yeah, I think it was like third year medical school. So leading into medical school, I knew I wanted to try to do primary care.
Mhm.
Um, and probably into third year of medical school, um, as a student, during our rotations, I really enjoyed my peds rotation. I really enjoyed actually the hematology oncology ward, and working with those teams and families at Kopiolani. And that kind of really showed me, I think how much of an impact the medical team can have on these families. And so those were kind of big things for me. I also had in my fourth year of medical school, I tried to do rotations in family medicine, which is kind of another general, primary care um, work. And I actually found I didn't like adults as much as I thought I would. And the children were just so good of heart, and they just were patients that you wanted to defend and fight for, every day, kind of thing. And so um, I think that's what kind of gravitated me to them. In my fourth year of medical school rotation, they let you do like inpatient rotations where you get to go in and actually work with the hospital team of residents. And I actually made a really, I think, impactful relationship with one of the moms who had a child who was chronically in the hospital. She ended up having a metabolic disorder that she was born with, and we ended up losing her. We
Oh
ended up
no.
losing at about 6 years old. And even though it wasn't, of course, the outcome we would have wanted, the mom, I think, just seeing that family and all the things they did to cope with that afterwards too was very impactful for me to know too that that you really kind of become an extension of their family, as their doctor. Yeah.
And then building off of that, so obviously you're in private practice. So do you feel that you make stronger connections with your families, or does it not really make a difference?
I think you do. I think you have stronger, relationships because you're really kind of their first line, and someone they're going to constantly be reaching out to.
Mhm.
Um, as a hospitalist, I mean, I'm sure hospitalists make wonderful relationships with their patients, especially ones who are frequently going into the hospital. But you see them for a set period of time, and then you maybe don't get to see them ever again, ideally. And so, yeah, I think working in private practice, you definitely get to build a relationship and an impactful, I think, role. I guess, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then what does your typical day look as like as a pediatrician?
Yeah, so most days they're gonna be probably about 8:45, 8:30, 8:45, starting in the office, um, seeing patients, making telephone calls to, there's a lot more telephone calls, especially since during the pandemic, and just trying to help counsel parents over the phone or decide if they need to come into the office. And we probably have office visits all the way till 11:30, and then we break for lunch, and then the afternoon is probably about 2 through 4 o'clock. Um, there are, I am building my patient panel, being a younger physician, and so we still see a lot of patients in the hospital and newborns in the hospital. So most times the day will actually start with me either going to the hospital around 6 or so before clinic, or during my lunch hour, I'm going to either Queens or Kapilani. And then there's charting on the computer in between.
Yes. Your day never ends.
It never ends, yeah.
Okay, and then our final question, or one of our final questions, are there any anecdotes or like fun, memorable moments that stuck out to you most about either medical school, residency, or even as like when you first started establishing your practice?
I think it's probably a very generic one, but just like that, I think even now I'm always reminded to, I think, always be ready to learn. Like, that medicine, but really life is forever learning. You're gonna learn new things. You're gonna learn new things. I learn new things about medicine. We learn new diagnoses. It's nice being in a group practice where we can talk to each other and be like, "Did you know that this is a thing?" Kind of thing. And we'll learn that way. And I think it reminds you to stay humble. That a patient is going to come in and they're going to have something that we're not going to really be able to figure out right away, and we're going to maybe need to do a lot of testing, get specialists involved, and bounce ideas off of each other, and go to work and do our research. And so to just always remember to keep learning, I guess. Yeah.
Our last question, actually, that we're asking everybody that is going to be a part of our conference is there any specific advice that you would give a high school student who hopes to pursue a career in your field, so in medicine?
Yeah, I think the biggest advice is to just really keep your options open. I think college is a wonderful time to get to experience just all of your interests and all of your passions, and to see what really fits for you. Medicine is a long road, and you don't want to look back and say, I was just so focused on, doing X, Y, and Z and getting to the finish line that I didn't get to experience life along the way, I think. And so that's, I think, the biggest thing for college. And for medical school, I think it's just to have take every opportunity that you can. There'll be some volunteers, there'll experiences, there'll be community service experiences, and just even when you're like in your medical school rotations, there'll be constant opportunity to be proactive and ask questions, and the attendings want to teach, and they want, but you got to show them you want to learn. And so just taking all the opportunities you can.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much for meeting with us. Everyone's super excited to hear from you. So thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Kat. Hope it was helpful.
It was. Thank you.
Okay, you have a good day.
Bye, you
All right.
too.
Bye.
Mahalo for tuning in to today's episode. We hope you were able to gain valuable insight from our wonderful speaker today. We hope you have a great rest of your day and tune in next time. This is Kylie, signing off. We'll see you in the next one.